and we are going to start recording and getting going here. So, welcome to Shark University 2020. Our theme for this season is strengthening team bonds towards future success, frenzy forward. So we are looking to have our coaches and our team moving forward during this process and working towards making sure that we are using this as much of an opportunity as we possibly can. We are going to try to get this done quickly. So if you do have any questions, put them in the chat and we will answer those as we can as we move forward here. So first off, I'm going to turn off the annotation. Please do not resist temptation on writing on the screen. We're going to introduce quickly the various people that are working with our program. First, myself, I'm the CEO and I'm in charge of Senior High Performance Masters and D6. Our business manager, Kristen Tanaka-Subo. Director of Water Polo, Lazo Ruza. He's finishing up practice. He'll be here shortly. Our safety director, Greg Hartman. Meet director, Brendan Holzman. Dryland coordinator, Josh Kakep. And then again, please make sure you're muted. And then our supporting staff, water polo staff, AK, Keith, Coach Ellis, Coach Matt Went, Coach Carey, Coach Cami, Coach Alexis, and Coach Matt Tilburg. Our lead coaches that we have on as well are Brian Holzman, who coaches our senior group, Chris Carney, who coaches our junior group, Coach James, who coaches A10, Coach Lindsay, our newest coach to our staff, who coaches A8 and A9. D7, D5 are coached by Coach Rob, who's also in charge of tryouts and new member initiation. And then Catherine Tao and Brian Solmos, who are in charge of our novice group. We are assisted at the swimming side by Coach Sarah, Coach Katie, Coach Max, Coach Tyler, and Coach Rob. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about our team philosophy because this is what's been driving us for the past 7 months. The mission of all team or Trier Aquatics is to provide professional coaching and technical instruction year-round for all athletes of all ages and all abilities. We are looking to try to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to swim. We are doing our best to make sure that regardless of where you are in our program, you have an opportunity to swim, play polo, participate in our sports, and have a great athletic adventure while we're kind of in this COVID world. When we're talking about our vision, this is what's been driving how we are moving forward. Our focus here is community. Our vision is to be recognized nationally as a leader in all of our sports programs and organization. And we use that platform to promote a positive, safe, and meaningful experience for all members in our community. That's the big thing that drives our program, is that it's about community first. We work very hard to make sure that our community is a priority and that we have worked with all of our community partners to get our pools on board. And we're very proud of the fact that we are able to work out of as many facilities as we are. And we're very proud of the fact that our team has done a great job both demonstrating and implementing our safety protocol for COVID. Without that, there's no way that we would be doing what we are right now. And so thank you, as well as thanks to our coaches who are online for everybody who has put that forth for our program. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about our board and volunteerism. For those of you that don't know, we are driven by we have a group of volunteers who step forward as part of our board. Our president, John Hagest, past president, Brent Michael, president-elect Kathy Newlands, treasurer, Ian Larkin, secretary, Eden O'Donnell, VP of officials, Masia Savastava, VP of Safe Sport, Nancy Schumacher, VP of Meet Operations, Tom Wilson, VP of Social, which is Jane Schisler and Judy Berkeley, VP of Volunteers, which is Marissa Torrey. We also have a series of non-voting members that participate in all our board meetings. Myself, water polo representative, Jeff Woodman, and then our 4 athlete representatives, Will Newlands, Jane Sanderson, Emma Went, and Eli Sternweiler. These are people that are we are really proud to have 4 athletes on our board because that helps bring a voice of our athletes to making the decisions and informing us of what's important to them as we move forward with our program. One of the things that I want to bring forward from the board is how grateful we are for our community partners, because without that, we wouldn't be able to swim. There are so many programs that don't have pool time, and we want to emphasize the importance of humility and gratitude when we talk about being able to swim. Many of our fellow teammates are having, our fellow teams in the area are having difficulty even getting practice time or consistent practice time of any kind. And the fact that we've been able to program continuously since the early June has been a huge plus for our families and our community. So now I'm going to turn this over to Kristen. She is our business manager, and she's going to talk to you about financial policies and protocols. Kristen?
Hi. As of May 2020, we've switched from season payments to monthly payments. Flex rates between in-person practices and online to adjust to the ebbs and flows of the pandemic and state and national safety guidelines. Your invoices are generated no less than 7 days prior to the end of the month, which gives you a little time to review and contact me if any changes need to be made. And then all of the accounts will be charged on the first of the month. Any payment delinquency may result in suspension from practices or loss of spot on the team. So it's really important that when you get the email notification to have a credit card updated, either due to fraud, expiration date, any number of reasons, please make sure that your credit card is up to date. All athletes have the option to put their account on hold for 2 non-consecutive months for a retainer fee of $50 to hold their spot in the group. Alternatively, if you know that you're going to be traveling or staying out of state for upwards of a month, and you'd like to switch to the dry land only option, that is another way to retain the spot on the team without having to pay the $50 for a retainer or not participate at all. And then of course, just email any questions about billing to me. I tend to respond in a pretty quick window. So if you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, definitely shoot me a follow-up email.
We're going to talk briefly about communication. This is one of those things that is a tough one for a lot of people because we want to be able to communicate as much as possible, but it's also important right now that we are respectful of each other's time and space. All communication with or from coaches will occur between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Obviously, if your kid's running late for an early morning practice and you shoot an email or you shoot a group chat, that's a different story. Those are emergencies. But each coach will communicate your preference of communication, email, text, or phone. Some of our senior groups have group chats, as well as our junior programming, as well as our water polo program and masters. Those are places where you can communicate very easily with them. During the work week, expected response time for those emails is around 24 hours. Weekends, please realize that we want to spend time with our families too, and so they will be responded to no later than Monday or the next work day. All coach and athlete communication must include a parent or guardian. This is a safe sport requirement. So if your athlete does want to reach out to one of the coaches, it is important that you are copied on either the text or the email. If you are registering a complaint or concern, ideally we'd want to think that we do everything perfectly, but that's not always the case. If you do have a complaint or concern, please wait 24 hours before submitting an email to either the lead coach or CEO, unless the immediate safety of a minor athlete is in question. We do recommend writing everything down, and then revisit the concern after a 24-hour period. We like to consider this a cooling off period, and our coaches are encouraged to do the same thing. We've often found that a good night's sleep means that you're going to be a little bit happier the next day. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Lindsay to talk about waivers.
All right, so we have a couple of waivers that everyone needs to fill out to start the season. All of these waivers can be found on our website. You need to be logged in on the website in order to view them. They're on the home page if you scroll down to the events. So the first waiver is our medical waiver, which is just permission for our staff to give or seek medical attention if necessary. The billing financial waiver is just an acknowledgement of the policies Kristen just went over. Our attendance waiver is a little different depending on your swimmer's group. For our senior high performance, it's 100% attendance. Our performance tracks are 75% attendance. And then for the other 2 tracks, we just have a recommended attendance of 60% for advanced and 50% for developmental. Our code of conduct is just our guidelines for all members of our community, just an acknowledgement of those standards and possible consequences for not adhering to them. Travel waiver is policies for any official team travel when it does happen. which is not on the radar right now, but will be eventually. The COVID waivers are the same from summer training. You do need to fill them out again. It's just the hold harmless waiver and the parent athlete responsibility. Again, you just need to redo the ones from this summer. We have our liability waiver, and then we also have our information and photo release waiver, which is just permission for us to use photos and videos and share any information in our team directory. So again, those can be found on our website. Just make sure you're logged in order to access them.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. All right, and again, this will be on the website. So now let's go over to Coach Greg, our safety director, to talk about our COVID protocols. Coach Greg.
Good morning. We're going to be going through some general practice protocols with regards to what we can start to see here at NTA this season. First off and foremost, to stay informed, make sure that you are aware of the travel ban that our team abides by, and there's more information clicked below there if you use that little tab. Furthermore, for a pre-workout symptom check, make sure that you're checking your athletes with temperatures and symptoms and making sure that before you leave to make your way to the pool, that you've discussed that with your athlete. When your athlete does arrive or exit from any of our facilities, make sure that they've got a mask on, that it will be a requirement. Regards to our pool intake and outtake, this is where sanitizer will be available for the kids, as well as a formal temperature and symptom check on the way in. There will be physical distancing strictly enforced at all of our workouts. Please listen to the coaches and be aware of our facility and protocols with regards to where you should be and how far apart you will be at most of our facilities. There will always be an individual area for your belongings to be dropped, safe where nobody else will be near them, as well as you will be having an individual area in the pool that you will also be in without any compromise. For additional information with regards to our COVID protocols, please check out the safety training Zoom presentation. We will be holding one this upcoming Tuesday, and we will be holding one every other week or so until we make sure that everybody has taken them. Those are always going to be listed as an event on our website. Please make sure if you have any questions on that to contact me directly, or furthermore to go look at the events themselves. We also have a reporting and response policy and procedure, and we've also provided a link here for you to go and look at those. In addition to most of our reporting and response, I always want to emphasize an open communication between the athletes, the parents, as well as the coaches. Full disclosure is ideal, and privacy will always be recognized at all times. For more information with regards to COVID-19 and the virus facts associated with it, please also use the link that I've provided here. Specifically pertaining to the COVID report and response, I want you to be thinking of the following things. What if my athlete has symptoms or suspected exposure? Well, first off, athletes who are ill are not allowed to attend any in-person programming. Athletes with contact with somebody with symptoms or under self-quarantine or awaiting test results will not be allowed at workouts for 14 days from contact. Please report any illness to your lead coach immediately so staff can trace and ensure the safety of all of our athletes and families. Positive contact or test may result in practice cancellation depending on the contact for the safety of our entire team family. Each situation is taken as an individual case and vetted through a team of medical professionals to ensure that we are getting the best response and the most accurate response for our membership.
All right, thank you, Coach Greg. Coach Rob.
Hey everybody, so I'm going to go over a little bit of our practice structure. So I'm going to start with the developmental side, and that's going to be our novice, that's going to be our D5, that's going to be AA, junior, and senior. This practice structure is based not so much on age, but grade. So any of you guys in the developmental groups, once you get to 5th grade, you're going to go to the A groups, which is 5th and 6th grade. So moving up to the advanced groups, that would be our D6, A9, our junior advanced, our senior advanced, and then masters as well. And then right up there is for our performance groups, which is D7, A10, junior performance, senior high performance, and our 14U polo and 18U water polo. And our practices are divided to accommodate safe indoor programming to comply with IHSA, IDPH, and facility restrictions. We default to the most restrictive requirement to maintain homogeneous philosophy and implementation of protocol. And then our current restrictions advise for 2 athletes per lane. So that will explain why our groups are divided up the way they are. And that really just maximizes safety, which is our primary concern every day.
Thank you, Coach Rob. Again, if you have somebody who's interested in joining the team, Coach Rob is your target point to talk to, and he is coordinating, bringing in those people and helping them get on board. All right, next up, we're going to talk about facility protocols. Coach Chris.
Everybody, good morning. Hopefully these next few slides will look familiar to some of us. Everything that is the same and staying the same is written in blue. Everything that is new is written in red. We do have slight changes to 2 of our sites, OLPH and Laurel Academy, as well as adding 2 new sites, Baker Demonstration School and Old Willow Club. Let me start off by saying you guys have been doing a fantastic job, and I really want you to keep up the good job with following directions of your coaches, being respectful of each other's social distancing, wearing your mask when you're supposed to. So just keep up the great work. 2 reminders I have for everybody is please remember to arrive 5 minutes before practice begins and pick up within 5 minutes of the practice ending, as this would really, really help with the transition process in between the groups. That way we won't have any cross-contamination with the kids. Second one is please practice social distancing and wear your mask until you have entered your car or exited the facility grounds. Even in the parking lot when we are leaving practice, I know it's tempting to rip off the mask and talk to your friends, but please keep your mask on. We are really, really looking out for you guys, and we want to play it as safe as possible. So that being said, we're going to move on to our first facility, which is Centennial. On the left-hand side of all of these slides, you will see a step-by-step process of directions on what to follow. I'm just going to give a very short summary of the steps. Enter through the parking lot on the gate to the right near the diving well. Go to a coach. The coach will tell you what to do, where to place your things, set your stuff down, get ready to swim. Have a great practice, hop on out, dry off your face, get your mask on, and leave through the gate to the left of the diving well, or more close to the center of the parking lot. Centennial, nothing has really changed. You guys have been doing great, so keep it up. The next site is JCC. If you have not been there before, no worries. All you have to do is go down the road. There's a small roundabout. Go into the parking lot, which is the first right on the roundabout, and go to the end of the parking lot. Take a left until you've reached the end of the building, and then take another left. We aren't going through the front doors of the JCC anymore, just so we can avoid having our athletes walk through the entire building. It's much easier just to go through the back. There is a door leading directly to the pool. It is the only door in the back, so it's kind of hard to miss. But go to the back of the JCC, athlete walks out, stays outside until a coach is ready to take their temperature and hand sanitizer. Coach will tell them where to go, put their things down, have a great practice, hop on out, dry off their face, get their mask on, and leave the same way that we've entered. So parents' pickup will be right where you dropped them off. The next site is the Northfield campus. There is not much to say about the Northfield campus because we aren't going to be holding a practice there. The high school would like to hold just student practice, which makes complete safe and sense. So if you have a student there going to high school right now, this should look familiar. The side will be available later today to view, but I'm going to skip it just because it's a lot of information and it doesn't really pertain to any of us. So our next site is going to be OLPH. Enter the parking lot on Glenview Road, or you can drop off your athlete on Church Street. A coach will be standing near the playground with a temperature check and hand sanitizer. Coach will tell them where to go, walk in through that entrance, through the wooden doors, walk straight ahead. There's the pool. Place your stuff down, have a great practice, hop on out, pick up your things, dry off your face, get your mask on, and this is when it changes, is the departure. Athletes will know what I'm talking about. There is an area with fans and the clock and a door behind that. You're going to be walking outside of that door towards Glenview Road. Athletes can either take a right towards Church Street and be picked up, and a left towards the parking lot where you can also be picked up. That is the only difference. Remember, athletes exiting towards Glenview Road, not the same way that we came back, or where we went in. So next site is Loyola Academy. Only difference is that we can enter through the south side athletic entrance that we used to before. That is directly next to the pool. Go through that entrance, take a right into the pool area, get on deck. Coach will tell you where to go. Have a great practice, hop out, get your mask on. And the new exit is going to be on the east side of the pool building. Athletes walk through there. You can be picked up behind there, or athletes can just hang a right and be picked up where you were dropped off. That way we can avoid crossing paths with another group. So, new site, which is exciting, Baker Demonstration School. Most of us have been there before. If you haven't, it's rather simple. You're going to enter through the parking lot on Maple Avenue. A coach will be at the front door taking a temperature and giving hand sanitizer. Once the athlete does all of that, hang a left. There's a staircase to your left. Walk down the stairs and through a set of doors, and the pool is right there. The entryway for the pool is going to be on the left-hand side. That's parallel to the men's locker room. Again, we aren't using any locker rooms. So go through that door that's parallel to the men's locker room, and that should lead you directly to the pool deck. There, a coach will tell you where to put your things and what lane to get into. Have a great practice, hop out, and leaving the same way that we came in. And please, this is the important one. Remember to do a 5-minute drop off before and a 5-minute pickup after. It's not very long. It doesn't take very long to get to the pool, but it can be confusing. And this 5-minute before and 5-minute pickup after will really, really help with the transition process. Make sure we're not having any cross-contamination. The last site I will be talking about is new also, Old Willow Club. It is outdoors. It is exactly like Centennial's. Drop the athlete off in the parking lot. There's a building the coach will be standing right out in front, taking a temperature and giving hand sanitizer. Walk straight into the pool deck. A coach will be there to tell you where to go, place your things down. Get ready to have a great swim, hop on out, dry off your face, get your mask on, and leave the same way that we've entered. Very simple, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job with Centennial, so not worried at all about Old Willow Club. And that is all of our facility protocols and sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. This has been one of the questions we've been getting a lot is we're going to be outside. And yeah, we're going to be outside until the 18th at Centennial and hopefully until the November 1st at Old Willow Club. And there's some questions. Oh my gosh, it's going to get cold. How's my athlete going to handle that? How's that going to go? From experience, I coached in Colorado for 12 years and we swam outside year round with all ages. And the trick is to make sure that you have a lot of clothes to put on afterwards. And again, that 5-minute pickup time, really important. 5-minute drop-off time, really important. Both of these facilities we've worked with them. They're going to keep their pools heated to 84 degrees. That's actually really, really warm. And your athletes are going to be just fine. We are not putting our D groups in there a whole lot. We're trying to keep those groups inside. And if you have specific concerns regarding your particular athlete, please reach out to your lead coach. It's doable. I've done it with, when I was in Colorado, we did it with 10 and unders and it was 20 degrees outside and they handled it just fine. I do recommend having gear bags separate from backpacks. So have, like, your athlete is going to have 2 bags, and that will make it a little bit easier just to manage the wet aspect of all of this. All right, next up, let's talk about Safe Sport. Coach Greg.
So we are being looked over by the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, and here are a few things that we want to be focused on this upcoming season and moving forward. First and foremost is New Trier always likes to be at the forefront, and we have made a mission to be at the forefront of all aquatic programming. And one way for us to do it in this vernacular is to make sure that we have a Safe Sport recognized program, and there's a program to enable our team to be in that area. I've provided a link here for you all to go view the details of this, but basically we have taken care of all of the different administrative and policy and procedural type things, but we also need to make sure that we have a generalized buy-in from our own membership. In order for us to get our Safe Sport recognized program, all we need at this point right now is 10% of our athletes over the age of 12, as well as our parents, and I do believe one family counts as one. We need 10% of you to go ahead and take some of our educational courses to ensure that we know and you know that everybody is up to speed with what we can do to keep our program safer. There is a membership incentive to be doing this. There will be a priority registration for the upcoming calendar year of 2021. In addition to our Safe Sport recognized program, we, as I mentioned before, do have very large guidelines and policies revolving around all of this. Much of it been given to us from the U.S. Center of Safe Sport, and we have a link here that you can also go and check out. For your community-wide engagement, as I mentioned, it is parents and athletes that will help us get to this level, but our coaches also have to go through quite an elaborate background check as well as education to being able to be on the pool deck at any given time. This pertains mostly to swimming, but USA Water Polo also has quite an elaborate Safe Sport program, very much so similar to these. However, for the Safe Sport recognition program, this is swimming oriented, and you will need to take it over there, even if you have taken it with USA Water Polo.
All right, thank you, Greg. Again, our priority first with all of this is safety, followed by training, followed by competition. Let's talk a little bit about apparel and equipment. Coach Brian.
Hello guys, I'm just going to briefly go over some of the apparel and equipment requirements for this year. All that I'm saying here can also be found on our website under the swim tab, and also all the equipment can be found on the ellsmoreswim.com link that we have here. That is also under the equipment tab on our website. But all athletes should require team suits, caps, shirts for competitions. We will be distributing caps and shirts for all of our athletes by the end of October. Every athlete will receive one team shirt this year. I want to make sure that as we're moving towards competition, we are still representing New Trier Aquatics and having some spirit as we do it. Normally, we would have kickboards, pool buoys, etc. at practice for our athletes to borrow, but due to COVID-19, obviously we want to minimize our contact with our facilities. So we want to make sure that all of our athletes have the required equipment that we use for goggles or how we use for practice. Make sure that you check with your lead coach what kind of equipment we need as we have group requirements. Some coaches like to do things a little differently, so just check in with your lead coach and see what kind of equipment that they like to use for practice. But we strongly recommend that every athlete has mirrored goggles for outdoor workouts, as well as a backup pair just in case, God forbid, their goggles break or they need to use some others. Full and labeled water bottles are also required for practices. As we go into longer workout sessions, we want to make sure that our athletes are staying hydrated, staying able to swim at a high level. So hydration is very key for our practices. All athletes should plan to wear a one-piece swimsuit and cap. If they have longer hair, make sure that we're reducing resistance in the water, making it easier to swim. And mesh bags are the preferred equipment transportation device. We want to make sure that we can separate our towels as well as all of our things from our equipment. That way we're not getting our towels wet. Lastly, team parkas are also encouraged this year due to our lack of locker rooms. Want to make sure that we are able to come to practice changed and be able to get out of there with, our parkas keeping us warm so that we can, not lose any body temperature as we're going in and out of the pool. I'll turn this over to Coach Brendan for competitions.
Hello. Yeah, I'm here to talk about some about what our season looks like with regard to competitions, with meets, swimming specifically. So I wanted to start by just talking about why we need meets. It's kind of obvious for some of us, but we want to bring back that competitive meet environment, something that we're kind of missing this season. Sorry. Yeah, so trying to bring back that competitive meet environment. Meets are a great way to track the progression of an athlete in the course of a season and the course of their career. And as Coach Matt used to say, it's like a test. We can really see where they're at when we do that. But it's also just fun. It's a fun thing to be competitive, to go to those meets, and it gives the swimmers, the athletes, a little bit of a break from training, from the rigorous training schedule, to relax and just have fun at a meet. So right now, our short course season plan for meets. I want to start by talking about our inter-squad format and our plan. So with that, meets are going to look a little bit different this year, as you could probably guess. We're not going to have big invites with 3, 4, 5 teams. It's likely going to be much smaller than that. Realistically, we're going to start with these inter-squad meets that are really just in the practice setting, right? Run by your coach. Times likely will not count. All right, but the racing experience is still valuable. Okay, and Coach Alexis and I have worked rigorously to create a sort of series of inter-squad meets that involve a whole variety of events. So we're covering all of our bases with the different strokes, the different distances, etc. Okay, and then incorporating that into what possibly could be the Shark Frenzy and Rick Peterson Invitational. What we'd like to do is obviously it's tentative pending the facility availability and approval. It's going to be very tricky to get a real life meet, but really what we're looking at right now is just a whole bunch of inter squads. And again, they might not count for time, right? But again, focus on the racing aspects, the competitive nature. I think that will kind of keep us moving along. Anyways, what is critically important for this, and one of the biggest tricks that we've seen to running like a mock meet in practice, is maintaining those few things that we hear every day: keep your mask on, 6 feet of distance, etc. We have to adhere to that protocol. All right. If we can't do that, we can't run those meets. And I know the athletes really want to swim meets, the coaches want to coach meets. So to make that happen, I mean, we're working very hard. We need you guys to kind of keep doing what you're doing with wearing your masks and keeping your social distance. So, yep, that is our current meet plan. I wish I had more for you right now, but as you can imagine, it's a little unsure at this current moment. All right, well, thank you.
All right, let's kick it over to Laszlo and water polo. Unmute yourself, Coach Laszlo.
I always do that. I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Laszlo Ruz. I'm the director of water polo. And when it comes to competition, for water polo, we ride between the middle. We have California on one side, where no contact allowed, and they very strict restriction, obviously. And then we have Florida, where pretty much it's back to normal, sort of speak. Obviously, I believe only Florida is the only state which allows like full competition, among clubs and no restrictions. But obviously that's a very rare case. So when it comes to Illinois, we are right in the middle. We are allowed to have contact, but only inter-squad. So generally, we have an interstate league, competition. It's run by USA Water Polo. Currently, is on hold due to the restrictions of USA Water Polo and the state. So obviously, we won't have that one. Same with the out of the state competitions. Traveling to like a Navy tournament, JOs, so on and so forth. Those are all, as of right now, they are pending. Most of them got postponed to later days. Some of them got totally canceled. And obviously, a lot of state has travel restrictions as well. So as of right now, they are all on hold. When it comes to Olympic Development Program, if you're not familiar with that, it's like a regional team. That's the pipeline for the national team. So that program is actually on as of right now. The girls already have some training. They have a couple of training, then they have a selection camps, and then they have competition usually in the end of spring, beginning of the summer. They have some competitions, when they travel, somewhere like North Carolina, there is a regional tournament, and then the top players go to California and have like the national selection team, camp, sort of speak, tryout. So as of right now, that's on. We don't know the dates for the competitions, and obviously, even if we're gonna have it in end of spring, but the training camps are on. I believe the U18 boys going to have some in November and December. For more information, please contact AK, one of our coaches. He's the U18 national U18 boys coach for the Midwest. Very proud of him. He just got that position right now. And so that's the only program what I'm aware of that it's on, out of state. We are going to host something similar than the swim team. We're gonna have an in-house competition. We are going to divide our teams into 3 or 4, different groups. We are working on it right now, the schedule and the different teams. We are working on with the coaches, everybody has a saying in it. We want to make it even. And once we have that finalized, hopefully maybe the Sunday practices or, some practices we're going to sacrifice to make it a real competition and, for bragging rights. You don't know how that works, with the U18 boys. So it's going to be very competitive. And we're going to kind of bring it back the same thing as the swimmers, like the competitive feeling when they do more than just come to practice. When it comes to it, water polo is an experience-based sport. So you can train as much as you want. If you don't compete, you don't put your skills into, in the situation, then you're never gonna improve that much. A couple other things I would like to add to it, like for example, attendance and communications. Even if we go back to the leagues, for example, most leagues are restricting the numbers of athletes. And, obviously, if we're going to divide our groups into like 3-4 teams, we're going to have limited number on the athletes. It's very important that they attend those practices and games. We have very limited number of competition, maybe 10, 15 in a season. If you're missing a weekend, you're missing 4 or 5 games. That's pretty much, third of your season just went out the window. Also the communication, because we have very restricted numbers, let's say 15, if we have ACT and 8 of the guys or girls don't show up, that can really hurt the whole team and, even the league. Actually, USA Water Polo has a league. If you don't field the team, you actually got banned for the next season. And then lastly, the timely arrival. I understand, especially when we had, in the past, like a St. Charles tournament, 2 hours away, 7 a.m. game, it can be difficult to, wake up and get there on time. We usually meet 1 hour before our first game, but that's very important because, we have to do the team meeting, we have to do a proper warm up. So that's why we have that 1 hour. It is extremely important that you are on time and you don't just fall in the last minute and then, oh, I'm here kind of deal. So when it comes to competition, that's where we are right now. If everything changes, obviously we are going to let you guys know. And if you have any questions, just feel free to email me or call me anytime. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Laszlo. And as I stated before, our first priority obviously is the safety of our athletes and our community. Second, we are looking at training, whether that's swimming or water polo. That's our second priority, so that the athletes have an opportunity to at least do something physical. And then lastly, our priority is competition, and providing those opportunities for our athletes is the third wheel of what we are working on right now. A lot of that is, as Coach Brendan mentioned, based on what our facilities are allowing us to do. All right, so next I'm going to turn this back over to Coach Greg to talk about our Hour of Power. We usually have this scheduled in April. This got canceled, but we decided to postpone it and move it to the more traditional time of November. So Coach Greg, let me turn this over to you real quick to briefly talk about this great program.
Thank you. So we're going to be holding that Hour of Power relay on Saturday, November 14th of this year. And this is a very large community engaged event where we will be having not only local partnerships working with us, but you will also be having likely local sports organizations donating things for gift baskets to once again raise the funds for more awareness for the Ted Mellon Fund. Speaking of the Ted Mellon Fund, so what we are working towards is at Comer Children's, the Ted Mellon Fund is investing in the following, and this is what we're working towards, is that getting basic and clinical research into the cancer biology of sarcoma and the other rare pediatric malignancies, the expansion of big data, pediatric cancer data commons to include on sarcoma patients, enabling physician scientists and other institutions to draw from and upload to the PCDC. And then finally, the Ted Mellon Scholarship Program, in which 4 undergrads, Hour of Power participants, are selected to spend 10 weeks in intensive hands-on laboratory research experience. Now, clearly things may be moving around a little bit due to our current pandemic. However, we wanted to make sure you understood that that would not change. We will be adhering to all of our protocols and procedures at our various facilities. This will likely be more of a swim-a-thon-based format rather than a lot of getting in and out and crossing our athletes over. All the proceeds, as you just heard, will go to the Ted Mellon Fund, Fighting to Beat Sarcoma. And if you're looking for a little bit more detailed information regarding that fund and the Hour of Power, please use the link provided below. Our fundraising for this event is going to begin on November 1st and conclude just before Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Yes, again, thanks. This is one of our great team events. Water polo is looking to add a facet as well. Again, it's going to depend on what facilities we have available, but we're looking to have a great event. And so keep posted and look for more information as we get into October. So lastly, we do have some additional training today, some mini clinics. If you haven't looked at signing up for these, we had a bunch yesterday that were great. We are recording them and putting them online. The first one today is water polo basics. If you're interested in learning more about water polo, hang out with Coach Laszlo at 11 o'clock today. He's got a lot of really great video and footage. He does this for FINA on a regular basis. So he travels all around the world helping get water polo started. So be prepared for some really cool stuff there. At 11:30, I'll have a similar one for swimming. If you're a family that hasn't done a whole lot with swimming before, you don't know a whole lot about even just the 4 strokes or what we're doing and that kind of stuff, we'll have a little swimming 101 at 11:30. At 12 o'clock, Coach James is going to be going over positive parent support and ways you can support your athlete at 12 o'clock. Coach Brendan and Coach Chris will be going over swim competition in time standards and how that works. I know it's a weird time to be thinking about that, but at least kind of getting an idea of how that works. At the same time, Coach Laszlo and Coach AK will be also going over water polo competitions and rules, specifically looking at a little bit deeper dive into the higher level approach to water polo. And if you're a parent that has a kid that's a water polo player or interested in water polo, this is going to be really helpful so you know what you're watching. I had a good friend that coached water polo in Colorado, and I would go to the competitions all the time, and it took me about a good year to figure it out. It's not like other sports. It's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Make sure you're getting the what to for on all of that. And then lastly, if you have additional questions, you can always contact me. You can also contact our board president, John Hagest. Billing questions, go to Kristen. Water polo questions, you can direct to Laszlo. If you have any safety questions or concerns about COVID or Safe Sport, and you want to get more involved in that process, please contact Coach Greg. If you want to volunteer for something like Hour of Power, or if you want to volunteer to become an official or participate in meets, talk with Marissa Torrey, and she will get you on board and connected with those people. And if you have questions, the group practice is going, please contact your lead coach directly. Again, this is the end of the presentation. If you do have any questions, please put that in the chat and we will answer those directly. There is no dumb question, so please make sure you ask it. The question we do have in there, is there a way to incorporate friendly games, competitions within practices given the obvious lack of meets? Every coach is doing this right now. This is something that is being incorporated in each of our practice settings. Some of them are scheduled depending on how your group practice schedule is. Again, it does depend on where the practices are. It's a little harder when we're outside to necessarily have kids go off the blocks. Please understand that things that have to do with COVID, that have to do with competitions and games, we can't have the kids within 6 feet of each other. So some of those games like that you usually play in the pool, like sharks and minnows, or even something as simple as just like gutter tag, you can't do that right now. And we can't put our kids in that situation. In the same respect, when we're talking about going off the blocks, we have to clean off the blocks every time somebody goes off. This becomes actually something that does take a little bit of a delay, and it does take a little bit of a process to do. So it's easier to do when we are at an indoor facility to do that. And we do have limited facilities that have indoor blocks right now that we have access to. And we are hoping to have some access to New Trier. We do have a little bit in the mornings with our water polo program in our high school. Right now they are limiting it to high school age athletes, but we're hoping for that to expand as we move into November. And so as we get the access to those facilities, we will have a better opportunity to have competitions or anything like that. But I know that at least in all of our performance groups, we are doing regular competitions as well as in many of our other practices. Next question is, what age does water polo start? Water polo can start as early as you want. We do have some smaller groups, but they do need to be able to make it through an hour-long practice, generally not holding on to the wall a whole lot. So that's something that right now we don't have a whole lot of availability in our 14U water polo program, but as we move forward, that'll be something I would recommend reaching directly out to Laszlo about, and he will be able to help you with that. Any other questions? Again, there is no dumb question. I'm going to stop the screen share so you can at least see me a little bigger, I guess. I think that's a good thing. I don't know. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to just let me know. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now. But so thank you for those of you that are watching on the on a tape